Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video we're going to be showcasing Agumon in PvP and also the team comps which I think are best suited for him based on the testing that I've done. Now Agumon, first of all, to explain what he does in a team, he is like a bruiser hyper carry, but you do need to protect him long enough so he can cast his ultimate. Because before casting his ultimate, he is very weak. He's weaker than definitely the average of heroes, and he is easy potentially to kill as well. But after he digivolves, he doubles his health pool. He gains a huge shield, and that shield provides him unaffected as well. And he gets a 50% boost to his attack. So after digivolving, he becomes a very effective bruiser. Still not like an immediate win condition. You still do need to survive even after the digivolution, usually getting off an ultimate for huge damage burst. But he can duel very effectively after digivolving. So the ways that you can protect him, if we talk about more budget friendly options, so Mauler options, you guys have seen Hepler can be a really good protector for these bruiser hyper carries, whether it be Orion, whether it be Sylphira, giving an additional life and also boosting the health of your carry. And so Hepler can be a great ally for Agumon. On top of this, if you did go for a comp like Zandrock to further increase your maximum health, also giving you that haste buff, this can also be an effective hero that you add in there. And then finally, something I would consider is something even just as simple as Coco, because Coco can give the charm bonus to increase health further of your Agumon, and then you can have your Mauler Phantom giving Agumon unaffected. Basically, all of these are going to make it so that Agumon is going to have that survivability to cast his ultimate, even from a more budget sort of setup. So this would be one of the cores I would recommend here to try if you went for a Mauler type setup. And then in terms of the actual artifact, there are a couple ones which do well. I think Frontline does very well with Agumon. You can even go for Wingguard if you have that available for more protection. Yeah, those would be my main two if you're going for a Phantom like this Mauler here. However, you could also even go for Mauler Phantom buffing up Zandrock, so Zandrock cannot be unaffected by enemy Mihira. And then you could go for an artifact that actually gives a buff to the frontline, whether it be this Valor Shield or whether it be the even potentially Vanguard. These are both options, but I do think if you're going for the Mauler comp, probably better to have Mauler Phantom onto Agumon and go for trying to trigger the frontline spell. So yeah, the final hero here, for example, could be Lily May. Lily May would be fitting really well. She's going to get the temporary buff of Zandrock. When she interrupts an enemy, it is going to jump to the enemy side, and that's going to trigger the frontline spell for you. And so something like this could be a very solid team comp. And if we show you some alternative options, Agumon also does really well with the Lightbearers, and specifically if you're running him with Orion. Because another skill of Agumon is that not only can he be a carry, but he has a really good temporary buff to all allies behind him from beginning of battle. 25% attack boost to all allies behind him, and it lasts for 20 seconds. Temporary buffs are perfect on heroes like Orion who synergizes with it. And so, for example, if you wanted to go for a Lightbearer comp, it is very effective as well. So you would go for the core of an Orion team, which is basically Eevee, Orion, and then Perseus usually. And then you position it something like this, have the Lightbearer buff your Orion. And then the final here, and then you just can have Agumon a little bit in the back, so he's like kind of protected to an extent. And then the final hero here, it can be, again, a multitude of things. People do run heroes like Roland here, and that can be great for the survivability and the buffing power. And in this team, you should run the Valor Shield spell because that can buff up your Orion in the back and Perseus in the front. So this is one of the common teams people are running. But if you don't have Roland or you want to go for a different option, there are a bunch of options. Like, honestly, you could again consider something even like Ravion. This is something I would seriously consider and have it positioned in a way so that Ravion could buff up your Agumon and the Orion, with his temporary buffs. That could be something really cool to try. So basically, this would be one of the Lightbearer versions. Now, so if you wanted to run a No-Orion version, I think this would be the core that you would want to try to work with. Basically, and actually, I think we would change around potentially something like this. So the core is basically to have, you know, Rowan giving the charm bonus to Agumon, and also energy bonus sometimes, but here actually the energy potion is going to go for the Lightbearer Phantom, but that's also good because that's going to get an immediate ultimate or take an enemy Lily May interruption if needed. And then you have the rest of the team basically lined up here. Percy is just for, you know, more temporary buffs, and he's gonna benefit from your you know, artifact as well as the ultimate of your Lightbearer Phantom. So he's gonna get his true temporary buffs. Eevee, just great healing for a bruiser comp, always makes sense. And again, you can then slot in whatever final hero you want. Any sort of utility hero like Lily May, or like something that's going to bring something to the table. Even it could be something like Peggy here. Peggy does well in these comps as well. So yeah, these are basically the Lightbearer options. And then we finally come to the Celestial Hypogean options. So for Celestial Hypogean, I think Alna is the best protector of Agumon. And currently what I'm running in Supreme League and even Guild Duel, well actually, no, in Guild Duel, I'm actually running the Lightbearer version with Roland, but in Supreme League, I am running an Alna version with Agumon. I think that this really does counter, and we're going to do some testing and show that to you. But the Alna Agumon core, it can counter even top meta teams, including Sylphira, including Orion. It has a chance of beating all of those. And so for all of those reasons, I think it's a worthy hero to be giving the Alna protection to. And then I like Alicent onto Agumon for another life, and also it causes him to run towards the back line after he digivolves, which can also be advantageous. I don't think Alicent is actually needed in this team specifically. Potentially even something like Hepler could be better, but you're going to be using Hepler or someone else usually. But if that was free, that could be an option. And then what I'm running is I'm running Dunlinger. And I'm running Dunlinger, and I'm running Athalia. Now, Athalia is just a real... She's not actually doing much for the team. The only reason I'm actually running her is just another hero to be jumping up into the enemy team to trigger my frontline spell. That's basically the only reason I'm running her. Dunlinger is big, though, because it blocks the enemy ultimates that they're trying to do. And sometimes how people try to counter Agumon is they bring Dunlinger of their own, right? So... The weakness of Agumon is if he can't digivolve, like we said, he's very weak. The other weakness is that even after digivolving, he still takes a while to actually clean up the enemy team. He usually needs to wait and recharge and cast an ultimate in War Greymon form to actually kill the enemies. That's a bit problematic, right? So he's a bit of a slow burner, but he can bruiser, he can, you know, bruiser some of the teams, but Orion, if they nuke hard enough, they can counter you. Dunlinger provides good protection against enemy Roland as well, like the Roland Orion teams. This gives you a good fighting chance of dealing with that. So yeah, basically, this is my team for right now. I don't necessarily think this is the all-time strongest team. It's just basically with the heroes I had left for Supreme League. And I know it's a heavy investment, so some people are just kind of like they believe that potentially Agumon is not actually that good or usable, for the reason that, like, if you have to commit so much resources to him to actually make him work, is that good enough? And also, even with all these resources committed, is it gonna beat every single team in the game? Not really. It doesn't beat every team in the game, but I want to now show it to you. I will now show you some of the replays we've had, because I've had that team set as my defense, and as you guys see, if you just look through the logs here, we have strong PvP players attacking us, and they have found ways of defeating it. But in the same way, if you look at some of the victories, we have also taken down some pretty strong enemy teams. So I want to show you if there's some, maybe any interesting... Okay, so this is just going kind of hardcore, bring out Freerin as well. Originally I'm Roland, so I'm not going to bother looking at that, because that's like just a super team. I want to look at this team, because this isn't exactly a super team. This is actually pretty crazy that this was actually able to beat it. It's a Twins Roland comp, and I would have thought that because, you know, Dunlinger is on my team, it should be almost a free win for me. One thing which is yeah, so the Mahira is going to crowd control me, which is a little bit of a problem because we don't really have protection for that. And then it's going to group them up, and my team is mostly, well, not getting bursted yet. We get the Agumon to digivolve, but this is going to show you the prime example that even if Agumon digivolves early on, like he does here, this is not meaning it's going to be a guaranteed win. He still needs to wait for him to cast an ultimate and, you know, get some kills, yeah, before he can actually have that win potential. So Sylphira's jumping right in here. Agumon, War Greymon, he's unaffected, so he's fine. He's able to cast his ultimate. He's not going to be silenced by Sylphira. But the enemy, because they have... I don't even know what they have, but they were able to take that. I think because of the Roland. Yeah, it's the Roland. See, this is the thing. If you have a Roland, Roland is a little bit of a counter to Agumon because Roland can somehow be positioned in the back, like, and not be grouped up, and so Wargreymon is not going to target Roland with his ultimate. And if Roland is just free to survive, he's going to provide too much value to the team, and that's what you're going to see is going to basically happen here. Even though we have great survival, we have the damage potential. We're going to get another ultimate off right here. Roland has a maximum health. Like, he just cast an ultimate. We still nuke through that. And this is really to show you that Wargreymon's ultimate base damage is insane. It can nuke almost anything. It nuked the fully max HP upped Roland. But now, Roland is actually just nuking my own Agumon. And Athalia is trying to do something. She barely gets it. And we end up losing in the end. As you guys see, this was a close match. This is not like it was a convincing or a consistent win. And I think he did attack me multiple times with the same team. And it wasn't, or he tried different things. But yeah, I mean, it's not going to be 100% consistent. And if we take a look again, he ran exactly the same team. You can see how things can turn out differently for us. And, yeah, but, I mean, there are a lot of strong options. This video is basically going to be showcasing that as a fact. But Wargreymon's ultimate damage is not anything to be taken lightly. And his bruising potential is very effective as well, as you guys are going to see right now. So right here, we get a better positioning, basically, of this team lineup. So I think we're going to get a better value ultimate. And... so is Wargreymon going to cast? Okay, so finally we cast the ultimate, and all enemies are grouped up. Boom! So that's what I'm talking about. It could also be the crit RNG. It probably very likely is also related to the crit RNG, because his damage nuke is insane. But it matters about the grouping up of the enemy team as well. Like, if you can have them all grouped up, like you guys saw, that is just beautiful. That is exactly proving to you that Wargreymon is, even if you can say he can be countered, at the same point, if he can one-shot an entire enemy team, like HP buffed by a Roland, in one single ultimate cast, the whole team died. The whole team is alive here. Like, basically, look at all the green health bars. One ultimate is all it takes, and a nice positioning. This is just insane. This just proves to you why, in my opinion, I do think Wargreymon is a top-tier carry. I know other people are kind of like much more, maybe like a conservative opinion, or they just don't believe in him as much. But like, if a hero can do this, this is something that, I mean, you're always going to be able to find some value behind. So there you have that, and then he finishes off the enemy. He instant defeats the enemy when they go below a certain health ratio. I love that as well. I love the animation, it's so cool, but also it really does counter things like Saida, Zoria very effectively. So that was actually a good showcase. If you take a look at some other teams, so Revon, he eventually did break through with, see, Orion Lightbearer. So honestly speaking, this is one of the teams which I think can potentially give the biggest amount of trouble to Agumon, because Orion is kind of like the match. Like, it's then Agumon has met his match in the form of a bruiser hyper carry, and as long as the Roland's able to survive and get value off for the team, it's like not really possible for the Wargreymon to defeat them. So actually what we can learn by watching these replays is more important than anything is kind of like the positioning. If you position your Roland very far away from everything else, he will never be in the splash damage of the ultimate of Wargreymon, which means he's basically effectively safe, because Wargreymon is not going to target Roland unless my Alicet bow went off onto it. And you know, you can position around that, but in Supreme League you won't be able to position around that. So right here, let me see what's going to happen. So we're going to get ultimate. There we go. And one ultimate is sometimes all it takes to win. Look at that. So wait, Roland even got popped. So this is like showing you, yes, it's a pretty big splash area, but Roland did enough, and there's still the Perseus surviving, Orion surviving, and we're now it's going to be a bruiser battle. We do get the Perseus off. We get an ultimate off of Wargreymon, as you guys see here. Eevee is still just not targetable. Bit unfortunate. And I think they fully... There you go. So there you see the Orion. And this is exactly the reason why some people feel, and I actually can agree with that, Orion seems to be the safer investment if you had to pick a hyper carry between Orion and Agumon. However, I think Agumon is also on the tier of Orion, Gwyneth, and Freerin. Basically, the top tier of hyper carries, in my opinion, are Freerin, Gwyneth, Orion, and also Sylphira and Agumon. I think all 5 make it into the top tier category because depending on their matchup, some are better than others. But as you guys see here, Orion Lightbearers can get the job done against an Agumon team. And even better, so now we have basically, this is a very interesting team for you. Now, I haven't seen this one actually before. This is Agumon with the Lightbearer squad, with Orion, with Roland. And he's using the Valor Shield spell to protect his Agumon. Now, this can be kind of a problem. Against my team, it's totally fine because I don't have insane quick nuking damage. However, against a team that has really hard nuking damage targeting the front line, your Agumon can die too quickly, right? But even in this case, even with the Valor Shield spell, you guys are going to see that his Agumon probably is going to die fairly quickly, but he has the Agumon in a pretty good position. Like, the Perseus runs up fast, especially, yeah, so he's able to still basically tank, and the Agumon is not being targeted. But if you guys see what happens here, so my Wargreymon runs into the back line now, and now he needs to charge up energy to get another ultimate. This is the thing, because before he gets his second ultimate, basically, he is lacking the firepower, he is lacking the damage. His skills alone are not enough really to deal with a bruiser comp, especially a Roland comp, which is providing great healing and great sustain, right? And Eevee as well, right? So it's just about out sustaining. But now you're gonna see we should be getting an ultimate off from. But look, Roland, so they get the perfect time. Roland immediately casts his max HP increase ultimate, and also Eevee's debuff is off on Wargreymon. So basically, the enemy has the maximum tankiness possible, the biggest debuff onto me as well, and so we're gonna see the damage nuke. Yeah, it isn't gonna clean anything up. Like, I don't think it killed a single enemy target, and then he is gonna go boom. Yeah. So this is showing you that Agumon can work in different comps, and potentially he is better off actually in the Orion comp, and Alna could be better off with Sylphira. I don't know, I'm just experimenting with things in this Supreme League. I wanted to just see how the matchups work out. So very well, I'm open to the idea that, you know, the Alna version I'm running may not be the best, and actually this is a pretty good example. It probably isn't the best. But yeah, let's see what happens here. Do we get another ultimate? No, we don't. But anyway, yeah, the Eevee debuff and then all of that tankiness was just too much for us to surmount. So this really shows you that if the enemy has great survival, great stall factor, they can actually outstall the damage of your Agumon. This is somewhat of a problem. Unlike heroes like Orion, which are also bringing other things to the table, like silence and huge nuking, and not only ultimate-based nuke, Agumon and Wargreymon is purely an ultimate-based nuker, and is ultimate-dependent to even begin to be effective for your team. He has to Digivolve. If he doesn't Digivolve, he's basically useless. But yeah, this was a good team. So I want to see what he is running on defense right now. If he's running a similar type of team, I want to try to use like an Orion team, standard Orion team, and see if that will counter it. Okay, he's going for, interesting. He's going for Hepler actually rather than Alicet. Okay, so it is actually pretty, yeah, this similar to the team that I'm currently running. However, if we just go ahead and run a version, like variation of basically the team that he was running, which is, using the, Orion, Eevee, Perseus, and Roland. And we all know Roland does well with all of these heroes, in case you were not already aware. And then finally go for the Agumon. And Agumon can now be used as the attack buffer for this team comp, basically, is the game plan. So I think how we want to do this here is, should we give, I'm almost tempted to give this Valor Shield buff onto Roland in the back. Let's go ahead and try a team comp like this. Now, Roland's going to be protected. Agumon is going to be protected. But he is frontmost. But the Valor Shield spell should help with the protection. Basically, that was, I think, the plan that Umi was running when he was attacking us. So, yeah, as you guys see here, when you run a version like this, Agumon is kind of the sub DPS. He doesn't have, you don't have to, the whole game, your whole win condition is not Agumon. And in fact, even if Agumon just gets off his attack temporary buff for your allies in the back, that can be enough value for you. So yeah, there's definitely an advantage of using Agumon in an Orion team. And it doesn't have to be Orion. It could just be with Perseus if you don't want to run Orion. Could just be with Perseus. Obviously, Orion is way better. But let's see what happens here. Okay, so his team, even though we were running, it did have win potential, as you guys saw right there. But Orion and Perseus, usually they're too tanky enough that they're going to be able to take that one burst and then finish off the Agumon. But the burst damage is real. So that's basically just why I wanted to demonstrate in this video that the burst damage of Agumon is very, it can be game winning. But I think probably if you really want to min-max the team comp, it's better to have multiple damage carry threats, not just relying on your Agumon and using Agumon kind of like a supplementary DPS that can also use temporary buffs. I think that's a better way of actually running with it, because putting all your eggs in the basket of Agumon cleaning up the enemy team for you, I don't know how good that is. But honestly, one of the reasons I wanted to do this, and basically why I came up with this Alna comp with Agumon, is because I wasn't the happiest that I was using Alna with Sulfura. I think honestly, maybe people disagree with me, but I think Sulfura and Agumon, they're very similar in the fact that when they are your sole hypercarry on the team, like Sulfura Alna comp that normally people run, is the sole hypercarry on the team is Sulfura for that comp. It isn't enough to deal with Orion. It isn't enough to deal with some Roland teams because of the survivability. And so really, and then you have no other win condition if your Sulfura cannot nuke them. So I feel like Agumon is very similar case. Like Agumon, he has high damage nuke, but if he's the only carrier on your team, they're going to be those bruiser comms, those stall comms, which you're just not going to be able to deal with, not going to be able to clean up. And I think Agumon as well, we want to use as supplementary. So really, I am leaning towards Orion Agumon teams going forward. Like I said, this is what I'm running in Guild Duel right now. If I show you guys the Guild Duel team that I ran in the previous set, and also I also shared that team with my other Vanguards, we did do well. We got 3-0. So basically, I'm running this team. If we take a look at what we were actually running against from the our high level player, yes, Perseus, Orion. Oh wait, yeah, Agumon team. I'm like, where's Agumon? Agumon is here. You guys are gonna see. So basically, how we're doing it here, if we take a look at it, we are using Agumon as the temporary buffer for the Orion in the back. If he can survive, if he can get off an ultimate, great. That can definitely help us out. But he is not our only win condition. In fact, our major win condition is Orion, and Perseus is just being used as a tank, having a frontline spell up in the front. Agumon is in a bit of a precarious positioning, because if the enemy has Alisat, they can target him. That's one thing that I do worry about. But anyway, you guys are going to see what happens here. And really, this is just a tale of you know, Orion countering Sulfura comp. There's not really much more to this team than that. Like, Wargreymon doesn't have to do anything other than provide that initial temporary buff. But you guys are going to see, even if, for example, somehow the Orion died, which I don't think is possible. But even if that is the case, then Agumon is going to cast his ultimate right now and probably clean up the field. Or at least kill one of them. And that's beautiful. So I think this is really what I'm leaning towards. Obviously, it doesn't have to be this pay to win. If you are at a lower level, you can definitely make use of Agumon in the teams we shared at the beginning, like a Lightbearer, like Mauler, and probably get very effective results. But yeah, I think hopefully this video is helpful. It was also kind of insightful for me to be analyzing all of this. And as time goes on, we'll just try to find better and better team comps. But for right now, I really do like him with Orion. And this is actually something a lot of people did think about when they saw the fact that he gives temporary buffs to other allies on his team. So yeah, and also potentially in the future, if there are other heroes that can benefit from those temporary buffs, or somehow Agumon can slot into those teams, that's also going to be really good news for him as well. So overall, my opinion on Agumon, if you guys are not already clear on that, is that I do consider him a top tier carry. He isn't quite as good as Gwyneth and Orion. I think Gwyneth and Orion are slightly better or slightly more consistent, more flexible than he is. However, I do put him like right around the Sulfura tier level or Saida level of hypercarry, and I still consider all of these heroes I mentioned in the top tier, because you do need to have 5+ carries for your 5 different Supreme League teams minimum, and so more than 5 heroes should be in that top tier. So anyway guys, that's gonna be it for this video. Hopefully it's helpful. Let me know what your thoughts about Agumon and PvP is in the comment section. If you have any other teams you would like to share, feel free to share them. Thanks for watching guys, that's gonna be it for this one. And if you're thinking about making a purchase in AFK Journey, please use my affiliate link for the official Farlight store. This is the best way you can support me and also gain 5% bonus dragon crystals on your purchase. My affiliate link is in the description of this video and a pinned comment, and you can actually bookmark this link in your browser, and whenever you're planning to make a purchase, just return to the bookmark link and make your purchase. It will support me and be greatly appreciated. So thanks for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next video, and until then everyone, peace out for now.